Life FM.
Life FM.
Life FM.
Shining the light over Cork. It's time for the most up-to-date info and analysis of GAA,
Soccer,
rugby,
and everything that's happening in the sporting world for Cork and beyond.
the award-winning Sporting Life.
Sporting Life.
Yes, indeed. Welcome along to Friday's edition here of Sporting Life on 93.1 Life FM. Lots of topics to cover tonight. I'm glad to say that I'm joined in the studio by Joe Seward and Chris O'Mahony as always. But we're also delighted to have Gary Spike O'Sullivan, the new WBO International Middleweight Champion. We'll speak to Gary in a minute. Also on the show tonight, obviously, the 2012 London Olympics will take a massive place starting today with the opening ceremony. We know that it has started during the week. We'll also cover the Cork and Waterford game, and we'll also look at Cork City's home tie against Shelbourne and all the cross-channel gossip, of course, the transfer news and everything else. But as we said at the top of the show, we have Gary Spike O'Sullivan with us in the studio. Gary, absolutely delighted that you gave us the time, that you gave up your time to come and speak to us. And obviously the first question to ask you is, has it sunk in? Has it finally sunk in?
Definitely not, no chance. I've been so busy since I won the title, running around doing this and that and so many interviews. Feels like about 2 months. I've been so busy, so it certainly hasn't sunk in yet, I don't think.
Listen, it was an absolutely fantastic fight. It was kind of toe-to-toe stuff for a while, but one of the things I did notice, Gary, was you used the ring much better than your opponent and Matthew Hall. I thought it got you out of trouble a few times when he got you on ropes, the way you were able to step away and stick and jab and then move. Was that a big part of your success on the night?
Yeah, I was a tactic coming into the fight. I knew he was a come forward fighter, and he tried and put me on the back foot, and he was a knockout merchant, and he tried to knock me out, so I practiced my footwork and spinning off the ropes in training, and it worked out well in the night, and everything went to plan.
After the fight, was it a small bit surreal for you, Gary? Because, realistically, let's call a spade. You had 2.5 to 3 weeks preparation for this. Your build-up to the fight wasn't the best. Your flight was delayed. Was it 5 or 6 hours your flight was delayed?
5 hours, yeah.
And you weren't feeling the best heading into Upton Park, as in health-wise. You were a little bit, under the weather. Was it a bit surreal afterwards to walk into the changing room with that belt?
I was always confident I would. I went into it and I was thinking of my daughters, and I always believe when I think of my daughters, no man will beat me, and I do it for them. Nothing seemed to go right, but I always had the faith, and I always believed I was going to win, and I visualised I was going to come back to the Ireland and Cork and back to the gym and back to the dressing room with a belt, around my waist, and so it wasn't surreal. I had already visualised it,
With 2.5 weeks to prepare for it, what were the tactics yourself and Pascal and the rest of the backroom staff sat down and spoke about going into the fight? Everybody knows, he had the nickname of the Bull. He was going to stand toe-to-toe. That's what he likes. He's a very aggressive and offensive fighter. Was it a case of, okay, let's go toe-to-toe with him, or was it something else?
Yeah, we had a couple of plans. We had plan A, B, C, D, E, F and G. We had a lot of plans. And, I stood toe-to-toe with him at times and proved that I could trade with him. I always felt comfortable there, but it was kind of closer when I done that with him. I knew I had better boxing ability with him, so then I went to plan B and plan C and tried out different things, and switched over to southpaw at times and picked him off, and showed my superior boxing skills. Not only can I box, but I can fight, and I think the plans went well.
Well, to me on the night it looked as if, especially inside work, which is something that you do like yourself. You do like a lot of body work, but inside work, especially your right uppercut, that impressed me an awful lot. Is that a new part of the armoury, or is it something that you've worked on?
I've always been working on that, and he's a smaller guy as well, so he's easily caught with the uppercut, and I knew that going into the fight, and I see in previous fights as well, he had been caught with the uppercuts, so you play to all his weaknesses and, take advantage of them.
Now there is, as this, a 120-day mandatory title defence?
Yeah. Right.
Can you give away, or do you know who the mandatory title defence is, or is that up to you and your team?
It's absolutely not up to me, and I have absolutely no idea. The WBO, the World Boxing Organisation, they'll be a contender to fight me for my title, so they'll appoint the challenger, and I'll gladly beat him.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that because there's a few names there. There's a guy in England, Martin Murray isn't there? Martin Murray is there, and there's our own Andy Lee. Would that be a possibility, or is he just too far down the rankings, do you think?
I wouldn't say he's too far down the rankings. He's only 5 behind me now, and well, any middleweight's a possibility, you just don't really know. I don't mind, and whoever they appoint, I'll just have to beat them.
But wouldn't that be one for the Irish fight fans, really? Wouldn't it be a great fight to see you and Andy Lee to fight for that title? Well, you defending that title?
Why not? Yeah, why not?
But you're good friends anyway, yourself and Andy,
Yeah, I just spoke to him there 2 days ago, for a while, and I'd be more inclined to help him out. And then else he's 1 or 2 fights maybe that he's wants now to come up after his loss to Julio Cesar Chavez. He's looking at 1 or 2 other possibilities, and we've been speaking with him, and he asked me would I come out to Detroit and help him out with a bit of sparring and help him prepare for his next fight maybe, and help me prepare as well, so
okay. It might be that might not be on the cards because you get too familiar with one another. But outside of all that, 4 fights in the last 2 years, that needs to step up a bit, doesn't it?
Fierce in activity, yeah. None of it was through my own fault. It was all different sorts of disappointments and
outside influences, shall we say?
Exactly, yeah. And thanks for that. Thanks very much for giving me the strength, mental strength. They were very challenging times, but they made me a lot stronger. And nothing really fazed me. Nothing would mentally get to me. And I've unbelievable mental strength, which I think I emphatically proved in this fight. I went into about 2.5 weeks' notice, very short notice. I don't think there's many other guys out there would do that. The guy I was fighting had 16 knockouts, more knockouts than I had actually with fights. I only had 14 fights going into it, and on top of it, it was the hardest I've ever trained. It was my first 12-round bout. I've never trained it that intensely. I was just training 3 times a day, and my body went into shock. I got conjunctivitis,
right? Okay,
chest infection.
That doesn't help it, especially conjunctivitis, when you need to see your opponent.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now that it's all over, obviously you've taken a break. There's been an awful lot. I mean, the well-wishers are second to none, Gary. I mean, you only have to look at your Facebook page, Twitter page. I mean, I think was it a week after the fight, there was 70 to 75,000 hits on Twitter, if not more, I think, from right around the world.
Yeah.
Now you're taking a break. Obviously, the next question would be, when do you get back in the gym then? When do you get back in the gym to really start serious training again?
Well, I'm going to Dublin this weekend. I think I'm going to go back in the gym maybe Saturday, do a bit. And,
okay.
Monday I'll be back running, and, there's a guy there, Alan Donlan as well from Limerick. He's told me he's fighting in Castlebar soon, and he wants a bit of sparring, so I'll oblige him with a bit of sparring down here in Cork and keep him in shape, Are
you taking any break at all?
I took the last week off, yeah, that's it.
But the last week off was full of photographs, but I suppose that's part and parcel of it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, this time was a lot more photographs and stuff than ever, but as I said, it's all part and parcel of it, definitely, yeah.
Just reverting back to the fight in Upton Park, one area which I thought, your jab was very impressive that night. When you're fighting a guy like that who likes to come forward, is that a very important part of your weaponry, having a good jab?
Definitely, yeah. I've worked on a jab since I've been 5 years of age. My father always encouraged me to go and draw a fast, hard jab straight down the middle, and I think there's not many guys with my height and reach with a better jab than me. So it definitely will be a very important part of my offence, and I use it as my defence as well to fend the guy off,
And you were saying then as well, there's one guy in particular long term that you really would like to fight, and that's the German legend. I think he was born in Bosnia. He's a guy you'd like to have a crack off. He's a bit of a cult figure in boxing. Felix
Sturm, yeah, he's a worldwide figure. He's like 52,000 people got to watch every one of his fights in Germany, and I watched a couple of his fights closely. There's
he's a bit of a monster, isn't he?
He is, but chop away at him, the big tree will fall, and I believe I got the axe here for him and my hammers, and I'll take him out, no problem. And I've watched him fight a couple of times, and I watched him very closely. I saw him fighting Matthew Macklin and Martin Murray, and he was there to be hit. And those guys don't hit as hard as me, no way. And he sits on the ropes. He soaks up people's aggression, and he leaves them actually hit him. And in the end, they weaken out. But I my last fight, my 12th round, I felt better than in any other round, and I won't phase out, and I punch hard, and I believe I'll knock him out.
And considering we'll assume that you win your defence, how realistic would a fight with him in the next 2 years be, and would it probably have to be in Germany, or would there be a possibility of luring him over here?
I think he's afraid of going out of Germany, you know, and he likes to stay there, but that's no problem. I've got gloves. I will travel, you know, and I'll go over there and take the title back here. No problem.
Does it make much of a difference, home advantage, do you think, Gary? Do you think it makes much of a home? You know, you look at the Klitschko's, every time they fight, they fight somewhere in Germany as well. It's kind of like their adopted country there to a certain extent. Do you think it makes that much of a difference?
I think it only gives you an advantage if you get treated by the judges. Otherwise, not really, because the supporters, they can't get in the ring with you. I use it for me when I'm at home, and when I'm away, I just blank it out, which I have no problem doing. Because they can't get in the ring with them, as I say. You know, you can enjoy the atmosphere you get in there when you're at home. It's great. I can't wait to fight in Cork again. But when you're away, I just take no notice at all.
When you're training, Gary, just, you know, because a lot of people that would listen to Sporting Life, they'd be familiar with boxing, obviously, because, you know, it is show business, really, to a certain extent. It can be show business. But they don't know really the ins and outs of what it's like, the life of a boxer, and what it's like to be. I mean, one of the things for me would be the training and the diet, and, you know, especially the diet side of things. If you give people an idea what your diet is like and what kind your training is, either pre-fight and after fight, if you just give them an idea of that.
Well, when I be out of training, what out of training to me would be probably running 3 days a week and in the gym 3 days a week. You know, maybe once a day, like 6 days a week, just light stuff, you know, bag work and skipping and sit-ups, you know, keeping in general shape, fitter than the average person, you know. But when I trained out for the first time as this intensely for this 12-round fight, my schedule was, the diet was extremely important, because when I got the call with 2.5 weeks notice, I was 18 pounds overweight. 18 pounds over. I fight at 11 stone 6, which was 72.5 kgs, just middleweight division. So to lose the weight, I had a very strict diet. I get up in the morning at 6:30, have a black coffee just to wake myself up, and 20-minute shadow boxing in the mirror. Then go run for 40 minutes, just over 6 miles. Come home, have a shower, have the porridge. I'm sick of porridge coming out my ears. Disgusting. But terrible it was. But then I'd just go back for a little rest, back to bed, just to recuperate a little bit. Then at 12 o'clock, what I used to consider the worst session was the strength and conditioning. To train so hard, they train me violently until I get to the stage where I have to run to the jacks and get the gawk, like get sick, you know, and then immediately come out of the jacks and continue to train to the point of failure when I collapse. And then they'd encourage me to get back up and tell me, you never say never, you never quit, you're not a quitter, blah blah blah, get up. I'd get up, continue to train again to failure, which was unbelievable, and then again for a third time. When I collapsed the third time, they let me go, let me off, you know. So I'd be wrecked after getting sick and nearly collapsing 3 times, you know. It takes me about 5 minutes to get back off the ground, eventually go for another shower. Then I tried to stomach what little bit of lunch I could. I was kind of getting a bit of scrambled egg. I found was about the lightest and easiest to stomach after that, because it was difficult. I go back to bed again then for a little rest. Then I'd at 4 o'clock or half before I go to the boxing gym. I fight 4 guys, one after another. The fresh guys get in, like fight 4 of them one after another, and then they do the bag work, some pad work, skipping, and then they get the medicine ball and hop it off my stomach 150 times full force. So and I just get beat up in sparring because I already have to do my run, my strength and conditioning, and then there's all the fresh guys getting in, so you know, it was torture. Plus, but the conjunctivitis, couldn't really see the punches coming too well, so that didn't help either.
And how long would the fresh guys, how long would